If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
This has been another episode sponsored by Online Horse College. If you haven't had a look at the wide variety of equine-specific accredited courses, then go to onlinehorsecollege.com and I'll see you over there. Our guest today is Lisa Finn. Lisa's a dressage specialist, competitor, trainer and coach. She spends most of the time during the week teaching and then is out most Sundays competing with her 14-year-old daughter. How are you, Lisa?
I'm well, thank you.
Great. Lisa, we normally start off with a favourite quote. Have you got one for us?
Yes, one of my favourite quotes is, hard work beats talent when talent does not work hard.
Yeah, and I think that's particularly in the horse industry. If you just want to repeat that again, what is it? Hard work?
Hard work beats talent when talent does not work hard.
Yeah, good. Lisa, do you use this yourself with your own students or with your daughter?
Yes, I do. When I decided to get into competing and horse riding, that if I wanted to get any better, I had to work harder and I couldn't just come at it as a sort of a casual rider and compete every now and then.
Yep.
And I can see it with the children that, some of them are naturally quite talented, but they don't put the effort in and they don't turn up for their lessons all the time. And then the ones that are, not naturally, they don't naturally have a good seat, and it takes a long time to get them into a good seat and to develop as a rider, but because they just turn up every single week, they often, go straight past ones that should be better.
Yep.
But they don't get them.
Yeah, so it's that persistence pays off then as well.
Yeah.
Lisa, how did you start with horses?
My very first memory from horse riding was my neighbour took my sister and I for a bareback ride around the block on a little white pony. Mm-hmm. And from there I was just hooked. Every time I saw a horse, I had to, you'd see horses in the paddock and drive past and go, oh, look, horses. And then for 2 years we lived up in the Northern Territories in a place called Port Keats, which was right near Bullow River Station that Sarah Henderson.
Yep.
So her youngest daughter was about the same age as me, and we used to go over there every school holidays on a little aeroplane because it was a 1 million acre property. Mm-hmm. And they had old horses there that we were allowed to, if we could climb up on them, we could ride them. So we'd often run out into the paddocks, no shoes on, and they'd have these really long manes that we'd be pulling hands and sticking our toes between their legs to try and yank ourselves up onto them. But, that was it for me, yeah. And then as a teenager, I had a couple of horses, but I only just rode them in the paddocks. I never actually went to pony club or had any lessons or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. I just want to put something in then. So if someone said, I think I might have heard that wrong, 1 million acres, no. I think you're probably right. And I don't even know why you're saying 1 million acres because they're usually measured in square miles anyway. Yeah. I think sometimes people don't realise the enormity of our outback. Yeah.
I know it was a huge. I think from their driveway it was a 2-day drive or a 1-day drive to get to the house.
Yeah. All right. Now, going from there, sorry, and I interrupted you there because you were sort of talking about, on the property. Then going on, did you decide to have a career with horses, or what sort of brought that on? Because it's a long way from riding bareback on a white pony with your neighbour.
It wasn't until I was 22 and my sister and I got into the restaurant. So we were working night times and I had all my days pretty free. And that was when I got another horse and I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to learn to ride, I'm going to start taking lessons. So that was when I started taking lessons and I really loved it. And I loved how the coach was teaching. I thought, I wish I could do that. So I looked up the EA qualifications to become a coach and thought, okay, I'm not there yet. Because at that time you had to.
Got to be. You can't just come in as a beginner rider. Yeah. But still, at 22, that's a bit of a late start anyway. But you obviously kept persisting with the lessons and kept learning more.
Yes, and then I moved to Adelaide in 1998, and I had my first child, and then 6 years later I had my second child. But from Canberra I brought my horse with me, so I've had him since he was 2. So he came over with, and I thought, right, I'm not going to sell him. I'm going to keep the horse, even if I couldn't ride. I was still going to have him. So it wasn't until I was 38 that I actually decided I wanted to do the EA course.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So then at 38, because you've sort of gone along and learnt quite a lot in that time, so even though you might have decided that you'd like to be a coach, you knew you had quite a lot to learn before you actually became qualified as a coach. And then what happened? Did you say, I'm going to have a riding school, or you went and worked in a riding school? Because you've got a riding school now. How did that work?
Nice. I looked at, I downloaded all the information off the EA website to do my introductory. And I had to do dressage special.
So, yeah, because you started off teaching with one pony. Yeah, yeah.
Well, for my daughter. And so a couple of her friends came up having lessons. And then my older horse, Gozo, some of the older girls wanted to ride him. So I started using him. So we had 2 horses. And then we sort of inherited another pony and then another horse. And then I've got another 2. So we've got 8 horses now up on the, because I just sort of ran out of horses. So I couldn't keep the horse riding all day on a Saturday. So we just kept, and they all pay for themselves. So it's not like they're costing me anything to keep them here. They all earn their keep.
Yes.
Well,
yeah. And I bet your daughter's happy having friends to ride with and being able to do things.
She loves a lot of her really good close friends are the young girls that come up here and hang out for the day and help. Just help me getting the horses ready for the lessons or help me leading because, a lot of the beginners all need to be led.
Yep.
Yeah, and so she loves that.
All right. You're pretty much, you're teaching, each afternoon now? And then on all day Saturday, is that how it works?
Yeah, and EA started up a course called Ready, Set, Trot.
Yes.
Where you could take groups of children and teach them. So what I do is I'll take a group of up to 14 children on a Saturday after school. It's smaller. And while 7 of them are riding, the other 7 of them do different activities with the horse riding.
Yep. They do unmounted activities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Room and time to teach, one person per hour. That's only 8 people a day, and you've got up to 30 people that all want lessons.
Yes. Yeah. Now, you talked before about hard work beats talent, and you also talked about the riders improving. The ones who made the biggest improvements were those that were persistent. So if you talk about hard work and persistence, are they some of the core skills or character traits that people need to commence in the horse industry?
Yes, definitely. And they definitely need to be resilient, and they've got to be able to take criticism because some people, you'll tell them something and they get offended because they feel like you're criticising them.
Yep.
The way you deliver it, you've got to sort of deliver it in a way that's also not patronising to them as well with the children. Yeah, so, they've just got to be able to give it a go. A lot of them just give up. You'll say to them, okay, well, just walk the horse from A to B, and the horse doesn't move. And you can see in their body language, they just go, it's not working, they won't do it. And then you've got the other who really persist until it does it.
Yeah. And I think that's taking responsibility too, because if they're going to keep saying they won't do it, the horse won't do it, instead of I don't know how to, I'd like to learn how to, that's a bit within their language. That if people learn how to do it rather than just blaming it on the horse or blaming it on someone.
Yes. Yeah, and I've found, because I had the one pony teaching lots of different children, I found she was different for every single person. So she was either really speedy or really lazy or really stubborn, and I realised it was just whoever was riding her, she was completely mirror imaging them.
Yep.
And that's been really good for me to learn how to ride. Like every time something's not working with my horse, I have to look at myself and think, well, what am I doing that's making him like this?
Yes. What do you think's the best thing about working in the horse industry? Because you worked in the restaurant industry and you've had a cafe. What's the best thing about working in the horse industry?
I love that I can do it from home and I just have to walk out my front door and up the road, up the driveway, and the horses are there and everyone comes here. And I almost feel embarrassed to take money from people. For me, I feel like I'm just having such a blast and having so much fun doing it. I can see with, a lot of the parents, it's a huge effort financially for them to bring their children up and pay for horse riding lessons. And I just really appreciate the money that they spend, and I try and make it such a great experience for the children and for teaching, Like I look at the money in the hours they have to work to sort of get that. My daughter, when she first got a job, she was only getting paid $7 an hour. So that she suddenly would go to buy a dress and she'd think, I have to work 3 hours to pay for that dress.
Yes.
When people come here for riding lessons and they're paying me for a lesson, I know how hard they have to work to get that.
Yeah. What about people who have influenced you? You know, influenced you not necessarily to have a school because, you know, as you say, you sort of fell into it. You started off with one pony and then went to using your horse and then, you know, have accumulated horses from there. But just to do with horses or to do with the knowledge that you've gained with horses, is there someone there that you could say this person's really influenced me?
Yes, probably about 3 years ago was when I really made the commitment that I had to make a change to sort of my daily or weekly sort of activities. If I wanted to get any better, I was just sitting on my horse at sort of prelim novice level.
Mm-hmm.
And I always used to see Heather Curry out riding at shows, and she was like really polished, beautiful rider and effortless. And I just thought, I want to be just like her. And so she actually moved over to my side of town, only 20 minutes away from me. So I just gave her a call to see if she did take students on, which obviously she did. And I love her teaching. She's really fair. And one of her best pieces of advice that she always says is, just be positive and confident. And I think that's just such a great advice.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important, not just with riding or horses, but I think that all the way through, you know, if someone's going to mentor you, you've got to like their personality, like the way they go about things, because it's not just what they can teach you, it's the way they teach it that's important as well. Yeah, they've got to have the knowledge and got to be able to teach skill, but the way they teach it.
Yes, and she's a Grand Prix rider, so, you know, you're not going to get to Grand Prix if you're going to an instructor who's only at novice level.
Exactly.
Or, you know,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, you know, I've had instructors before who sort of, they make you feel like, right, that's it, I'm going to the Olympics next year, I'm so good. And then you competition, you think, okay, I'm not that good.
Yes, yeah. What about, you talked about your first horse, or the horse that you got when you were, you know, that you've got now is 38, is he? Is that?
He's 27 now.
27, sorry. Yeah, okay. Is he the one who's influenced you the most, or have there been others who've helped you?
No, definitely be him. He was a 2-year-old just thrown out in the paddock. I think I was lacing a horse at the time, and I went out there and this sort of cute little horse came running up, and it's sort of like he found me. I didn't find him. He sort of came up and picked me to be his human. And, he used to be very dominant over me, and then I became dominant over him. And he's just a lovely, kind horse, and he's taught so many children. And so I've had him longer than my husband as well. So I think I've had him for 25 years.
That's good.
Yeah, but he also taught me a lot about, you know, living in the moment and just how to forgive. You know, I'd make such terrible mistakes on him, but you turn up the next morning with their food and they're so happy to see you.
Yeah. And the horse you're competing on now?
That's Akira. He came down from Queensland, so he's now a 10-year-old warm blood, and we're sort of competing medium and training advanced level. And he's absolutely gorgeous. So beautiful, beautiful horse. And I'm hoping that I can learn to get to Grand Prix on him.
Yeah. What do you think your proudest moment's been?
I would say that my proudest moment would probably be when my daughter Isabel, she was probably 12 at the time, 12 or 13. Well, she was meant to go into a competition on her little 12-hand pony, but he got lame. So we asked if we could substitute, and she could ride my dressage horse Akira, and he's a big 17-hand horse. So I was a bit, this could be a bit, you know, I didn't know what he's pretty quiet, like and all that. She went out there and she did such a beautiful test, and he was just so kind and lovely to her. And I was sitting there watching, just thinking, wow, look at that. You know, I've got a really beautiful daughter that can ride and a really beautiful horse that can look after her.
That's good.
Yeah.
Had she ridden him before?
Not very often. Just he's got a massive trot, so you feel like you're doing a workout when you ride on him. If you trot on him, you come, you know, really high up out of the saddle.
Yeah,
but lucky in her rise trot, she was almost, you know, standing straight up.
That's good. What do you think, you know, thinking about where you are now with your own riding school, and I'm thinking about people who would like to set up their own school, you know? What do you think the biggest challenge is to set up your own school?
Well, like for me, I'm lucky I can set up the school here, and we own the property, and I'm not paying adjustment fees.
So it's on your own property. Yep.
Yeah, but we'd have no startup, but because, you know, it's expensive to come over. But, you know, if you're thinking of starting up a school, you know, start with one horse and, you know, make some money from that and then build up with another one, or you just have to do a business plan and do it. But I have found I could easily triple the amount of children or students that I take on the weekend for horse riding lessons. There's just such a shortage for, riding schools because it's expensive to own a horse. So a lot of people are happy to pay for the lessons and the opportunity for the children to ride, but they can't necessarily afford to buy a horse for their children.
And I think it's a good investment too, because while they're coming for lessons, they're under instruction. They're not just there with their own horse. The horse is playing up or something's going on, and who do we ask and what do we do? It's not just calling the vet, getting an expert out to help, but while they're there, they're paying for their regular lessons. It's there, they're persistent, they can keep going. And I think good value for people who it's the supervised time in the saddle. They need that supervised time in the saddle to be safe. Yeah.
And with EA now doing the Ready, Set, Trot or Trot, Canter, Gallop, so the children come up and they learn to ride, but they also have a book that does all the theory side of it as well. So you'd hope when they do get themselves a horse, they've
got a bit of knowledge as well.
Yeah.
What do you think then, thinking of the kids that you teach and, they're beginners and they sort of go through at that fairly novice level, what do you think's a common fault that you see with them?
They all humanise the horse, give it a human personality. So, and the parents will say, "Oh, the horse is feeling lazy today," or "The horse is not happy today," or you're thinking, not right. And the other thing they tend to make a big mistake in is letting the horses come into their personal space. So I imagine there's a big bubble around the horse and a big bubble around you, like a big space bubble, and you can at any time come into your horse's space, but they can't come into yours. So you see them often leading the horse, and the horse has got its nose pushing them wherever they want to go. Teaching them to do that's a good thing for them to learn straight away.
Wait, can you hear anything? No? That's because we're waiting for someone with a good quality horse product to be advertised here. If that's you, then contact us, horsechats@horsechats.com, and we'll send you the details. Thanks. What do you tell, because it's almost a marketing ploy like My Little Pony, to have the horses humanised. What do you say to the parents and the students so that they don't humanise the horse?
I say to them, well, horses don't have those type of emotions. They don't hate you and they don't judge you and things like that. I understand horses are very simple, and they it's either yes or no. They either do it or they don't do it. Keep the grey area out of it.
Yep. Okay. All right. Now, Lisa, have you got a book that you'd recommend to our listeners?
Yes, I read a book called Dancing with Horses by Klaus Hempfling.
Yep.
Teaches all the techniques to get control from your horse on the ground. So my old horse Gozo, he used to be really dominant over me. I couldn't even walk him because he used to be around a lot. And then I read Klaus's book and then used the techniques that he teaches in it. And all of a sudden my horse was listening to me and not bullying me around so much.
Yep.
Which is where I came into the, don't let the horses into your space bubble. You've got to keep personal space.
Yeah, because you said dancing with horses and I thought it would be like a high-level dressage, but it sounds like it's got some really basic, good horse handling skills there.
Yeah. He watched a lot of he went and lived with the horses, the herd of horses and just watched the way the lead horse was. The lead horse never argue or fight. It's all the lower ranking ones that argue and fight. And the bullies are the lower ranking ones, not the higher ranking ones. Yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah. And remember, you can find all the books recommended by our guests at horsechats.com/books. You can have a look at the guest page for the individual book they recommended, or just look at the recommended books by order of popularity at horsechats.com/books. I haven't seen that book actually, but it sounds like an interesting read. So it's one that I'll have to put on my list. I've often read a lot of the books that people recommend, but I look forward to that one. Yeah.
He's also on YouTube. He's got a lot of YouTube channels as well.
Okay. Now, how do you spell his last name? Klaus?
Yeah, Klaus, I think it's Hemfling, Klaus Hempfling.
Okay. Yeah, we'll make sure we've got that right. We'll put the correct details on your page, which will be horsechats.com/Lisa Finn, or else just horsechats.com/books. We'll make sure that we've got the right details there anyway. Okay, Lisa, what are you looking forward to now? You've got your school going, you're out competing on your horse that you plan to take Grand Prix You've got your daughter competing with you. Is there anything else that you've got going on that you're looking forward to?
I've got a young horse that I actually bought from Heather Curry when she was a year old.
Okay.
And so she's 3 now. She's just broken in. So I'm just training her up, and I'm really looking forward to everything that I've learnt from Heather to put with this one. And it's probably hopefully not going to take as, I won't make the mistakes I made with the previous horses using it on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we've got to keep learning. I think that's the big thing, to sometimes horses to get, even though they might mentally understand the Grand Prix movements, you've got to still think if you bring them on too quick, they don't have the muscles, and the training and the muscles that they need to develop. So it's great bringing them on quicker and quicker. But I think, Heather will be there and, she's sort of been there, done that. She's going to, keep you going. But no, I think that's good.
Like because I only started learning like properly really at 38, taking lessons, but that was just, basic riding lessons. But, the proper riding at 38, I didn't know how to do a flying change or anything like that. So, but now I know what I'm trying to feel.
Yes. And you've got your own horse that you've learned it. So, of course, the next one coming through is going to be a lot quicker and a lot easier. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can see it already just, when I'm riding her, just getting that feeling of them going forward is just so much easier now.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, Lisa, can you summarise your philosophy with horses into a few sentences?
I would say when you're around your horses, make sure you've got empathy for the horse. And when things don't work, try something different. And I think it was Kira Kirkland that said something like, if you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always got, something like that. But, the motto for the Coolangatta Riding School is make a change, and change comes from your daily habits. So my philosophy is, if you keep doing the same thing, you're not going to get any better. You've got to change your daily habits to get better.
Yep. I think that's just a good life one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lisa, how can people contact you?
You can contact me on the Facebook page. So there's Coolangatta Equestrian Centre. It's KOOLYANGARRA, which actually when we bought the property, it was called that. And when we looked up what the name meant, it's an Aboriginal word that means meeting place for happy children. So
that's good.
I think it was meant to be that I ended up with a children's horse riding school.
Yeah.
Or also on my mobile, which is 0414 903 989.
All right, so people in the Adelaide Hills can certainly contact you about lessons. And the other thing is too that it'll be on your page at horsechats.com/Lisa Finn, or go to horsechats.com, search for Lisa or search for Finn. Brilliant. Good talking to you, Lisa. I think I like the way that you just fell into horses. But yeah, I think a property with a name like that, it was destined to happen. So good talking to you about that journey. Yeah. All right. Thanks very much for talking to us today, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, if you're still there, you probably know that I'm absolutely passionate about education within the horse industry. That's why I host this podcast. My other venture is Online Horse College. Have a look now at onlinehorsecollege.com and I'll see you over there.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.